There we go. I love when a plan comes together. That's a big bass. I gotta get my net here. This is ultralight. I don't feel like crawling down into the debris. Oh boy, that's a heavy bass. Take a look at that guy right there. Now something you do want to avoid is making a lot of ground motion, like banging the stick on other sticks or throwing signs onto the ground. Right, Ben? All right. Oh, that was a big bass. Oh man. Missed another one. That was a big bass. Oh, crappy slab magnets, you know? All right, so here's the setup today. So this is my favorite St. Croix Panfish Series ultralight rod. Okay, I'm gonna be using this little mini bass fluke, or I think baby bass fluke. I put glow, dipping glow on the tail there, give it a little bit of chartreuse. That's a Okuma Seymour 10 right there, C10. What I'm gonna do is, this is a neat little crappie slab on a crappie magnet jig head right here. Now you see it's got a little circle there inside of the head. What that does is that's gonna allow us to fit this crappie magnet slab bites in there, and that's some artificial scent. There you go. So I like to roll that in between my hands right there. Hopefully you can see it this time. So I like to roll it in between my hands, stick it in there, and then blot it down with my fingers. Blot it all down there. Now the wind is blowing right at me, so this is perfect. I want to give a retrieve directly towards myself, because that's going to be the most natural presentation for these fish. Now, with it being, oh, I just had a big swirl right behind it. Oh, something was after it already. That was first cast. You never know. This is just the first stop. Easy to kind of make a few casts. Look at all the submerged vegetation and stuff here. It has just been raining and raining and raining, and it's windy and it's cold, and it's just been nasty, nasty spring weather so far. And winter has not really relented here yet, even though it's spring. Nice job, Ben. Ben's having a good time in the manure there. Yeah, what you doing over there? Besides being silly. So we're gonna just give this a few casts. There we go, there's a fish. Again, ultralight right here. That's a nice fish. What do we got here? It's bass. It's bass. He's got me all tangled up in the wood there. Look at this, Ben. I got a bass. And that is perfect. It's ultralight, so you got to be careful. But there you go. 2 casts. Got a bass. And there you go. So there's your bass on the ultralight. A nice bass. Good to start the day. And again, that ultralight with that little scent worked perfect. That was 2 casts. And a really nice fish. It's 2-pound SOS monofilament trout line. You like petting the fish, Ben? And that's a nice bass. Bye-bye, Mr. Bass. There he goes, off to eat another bait. All right, now let's take a look at our slab here, our crappie slab for the bait. And look at that, it's perfectly still wedged in that jig head, giving off scent. Absolutely awesome. Now again, some of your inclination might be, you know, it's really cold. Sometimes these fish, they just want to be on this other side of the wind to take advantage of feeding opportunities. And all right, Fishalites, so I just want to point something out here that literally nobody talks about, and that is some retrieving tricks that can absolutely trigger a ton of bites and catch you a ton of big fish. And so right here, you notice I'm reeling in, but you notice I pump my rod tip up. And what that does is it shoots that lure up into the water column that signifies a fish trying to flee or evade a predator, in this case, a largemouth bass. And what that does is that bass could have been following that lure, and as I top that rod tip up, or as I pump that rod tip and shoot that lure up, that fish gets a little bit of FOMO and realizes the bait fish has identified it as a predator and trying to evade it, and that will oftentimes force that fish to commit and eat that lure. So check it on this video right here. I'm reeling it along, I pump that rod tip up, and sure enough, that fish just comes in and smokes it. There you go, there's a fish. Now take a look at that. I don't know if you can see that right there, but that's an injured shad right there. And this is what I mean by wind-blown shorelines. This fish is clearly injured. It's in bad shape, and the wind has brought it over here into this cove right here. When I talk about wind-blown shoreline, he's right there now. He's up against the brush. That's kind of what you're talking about. The fish is injured. There could be bass laying in these things right here, and they're just looking for some easy meals. So as you bring this across and you're trying to imitate that injured fish down there, that's where you're going to trigger some bites, and that's exactly what I've been doing with this ultralight gear. So let's give it a go here. See what we can do. Good news here is I'm fishing into the sun as well. I'm going to give a shot here, wind blown, and then I'm going to try to get some wind protected shorelines. It's not that big of a lake. There we go. I love when a plan comes together. That's a big bass. It's a nice bass. So there's an injured shad right there. It's taking drag and everything. It's great. Got to get my, that's perfect. I got to get my net here. This is ultralight. I don't feel like crawling down into the debris. We did that before. Not fun. You know, there we go. That's neat. Come on in here, big boy. Got him. Oh boy, that's a heavy bass. Whew. Take a look at that guy right there. That's exactly what I was saying with that injured shad. And oh my goodness. Look at where he got that bait, all the way down there, not messing around. That is a beauty. And that is when a plan comes together, fish. Let's look at the size of that bass. That is a heavy, healthy bass feeding on those injured shad. Wind-blown shoreline. That's what you're looking for. Let's get him back. Thank you, Mr. Bass. You're looking for deep water adjacent to shallow water so that these fish can drop back. This is windy, it's cold. Those fish are going to find deeper water for comfort because it's going to be warmer there instead of on the surface. Look at all that wind blowing across the surface. That surface is cold, but those injured fish are going to blow this way because, like that shad over there, disappeared. Probably bass ate him. I don't know. But those injured fish are going to blow this way, and you can take advantage of that. That's exactly how it works. All right, here's a setup. Doing all the damage, of course. That's an Okuma CMR10 ultralight rod, and this is a St. Croix Panfish Series 6-foot rod. And that's coupled with a little mini bass fluke tail, dip and glow, and some crappie slab in this crappie magnet kind of rooster tail jig head right there. I'll put a link in everything below so you can have easy access to all this gear in case you want to replicate these big bass and catching them on fun ultralight. So let's try that again. And I tell you what, it's time for a recharge. That bass knocked out the bait, and so that's what I'm talking about right there. Crappie slab magnets, you know? Sometimes you gotta pull out all the stops. That's exactly what Johnny Fish a Lot likes to do when catching really finicky, tough bass. I'll show you here in a second some things you could do, especially when fishing in heavy wind situations. So first, you know, I want to cast into the wind, just like I said, and I want to retrieve back with the wind. Now, that's basically my retrieve. Super slow to catch these fish. But what you can experiment with is picking it up a little bit and then letting it drop. That sometimes will trigger a bite. Just go as slow as you could go, or even just moving your rod tip like that a little bit could be enough to trigger a bite. So a little bit of experimentation if you're not quite sure where the fish are in the water column. Another good tip when fishing into the wind is keep that rod low, just like that. So if you keep your rod high, you're gonna get a lot of belly in that line and you're gonna lose feel for your lure. Now if you keep it low, just like that, by the water column, that's ideal in these heavy wind situations because you can maintain control of your line and you have bite indication. You can feel when those bites are going to come, when those fish are going to hit. There you go. Slow retrieve, rod to the ground. These fish are most likely going to hang deep. They don't want to be messing around with that surface water right there. Oh, that was a big bass. Oh, man. Missed another one. That was a big bass. Oh. It's just going to be one of those days. Everyone's against me. Oh my gosh, that was a big bass. Holy cow, that was a big bass. That was the most finicky bite. Well, I missed 2 fish now. They are just so inactive. Man, that was a big fish. You know what happened there? That fish got the hook, turned as I was applying the pressure, just turned just the right way. Sometimes that happens. Oh, goodness. Oh, there's a little crappie. I just looked away for a second, the little crappie grabbed it. There you go, little baby crappie. My lure at that point was almost straight up and down, so that was kind of, if I would have set the hook and the lure was literally on the surface of the water, that crappie would have probably flown up and hit the bank or something silly. So that's fine. It was a little baby fish. So learning underhand casts is definitely worthwhile. There's a good one. There's a good fish right there. I'm under a tree. Oh, I got him lost. I hit the tree. Oh, man. Oh, he ran me up in there, and my rod came up and hit the tree there, and I couldn't keep pressure on him. I'll take that, though. That was a good fish. I'll take it. Oh, that was fun. Today's kind of been, you know, a little bit of bad luck, but still fun. So I had a crappie come up and hit it and a bass come up and hit it. This mono just holds up so good with abrasion resistance. Yeah, I'm good. I mean, that's good to go. He got me caught in there. My rod was caught up in here in the trees, you know. I like to bring you the good, the bad, and the ugly here on this show, Fishing with Johnny Fish a Lot. No need to not show it to you. It's all part of fishing. You know, even if you watch, you know, Bassmaster Classic and stuff, you know, they're missing fish right at the boat, all the heartache, laying on the deck after they lost what they thought was the biggest fish ever, you know, things like that. That's just what it is, but it's all fun. I love every second of it. Again, just casting into that wind, trying to retrieve it back towards myself in the wind. That's what these fish are really looking for. We figured it out. This is where a lot of the fish are looking to be. There we go. Look, it's a big bass on ultralight. Well, that solves it, guys. A good spot move right there. Now, I don't know how I'm going to get this fish. This is ultralight gear. I got to be super careful. And so, as you can tell, Fish-A-Lots, these ultralight tactics for catching really big bass are amazing, and they're just not talked about enough. So if you really want to up your game and show all your buddies out there how much fish you could catch using just the most fun gear imaginable, go ahead and click on this video right here, where I go even deeper into some tips and tricks that are going to catch you a ton more fish and really big fish to boot. So thanks for tuning in, Fish-A-Lots. I'll see you out there on the water.